Hello and welcome to this absolute headache of a video discussing Duel Links rulings that tripped me up and over for the last couple of hours. Basically, the crux of this video was I'm working on a quiz in which there are some ruling questions, and one of them was this question that you see before your very eyes. Basically, the trick of it is Millenniumize Restrict, equipped with Cyber Dragon, negates the activated and continuous effects of all cards named Cyber Dragon, and Cyber Dragon Core becomes Cyber Dragon when it hits the field. So question then becomes, can you even summon it? Because if its effect to become Cyber Dragon is negated, it becomes Core, and then it's no longer Cyber Dragon, so its Core effect allows it to become Cyber Dragon again, and it like causes an infinite loop, right? But there was a special ruling put in place exactly for this sort of corner case scenario that says Cyber Dragon Core can still be summoned. It becomes Cyber Dragon when it hits the field, it's negated, and it no longer turns back to Cyber Dragon Core. It stays Cyber Dragon, which I guess is relevant for like Cyberload Fusion, this sort of stuff, you know? Um, and if this sounds familiar to you, it's because I actually got this question idea from the comic Dark Magician Girl Struggles with Yu-Gi-Oh! Rulings, or something like that. I'm gonna link it in the description of the video. But there are a couple of like fun ruling lessons that you can glean from that. You know, like tributing a monster for cost and the Fiendish Chain, Mystical Space Typhoon, negating sort of Rage Refines of Blue. They're sort of like really fun and unintuitive things about Yu-Gi-Oh! That are pretty, you know, pretty enjoyable. Um, but then it turns out that Millenniumize Restrict got an errata that no longer negates the effect of monsters with the same name of the equipped monster, but monster with the same original name, which means that Cyber Dragon Core's original name, not being Cyber Dragon, obviously, would still be allowed to activate and resolve, and it changes everything because now you can, you know, uh, just normal core and get whatever the fuck you want, which is cool. And something that's very important to note in relation to Duel Links is that this errata is present in the game. And I remember seeing a notification for it at some point. I forgot when. But I didn't think much of it back then. I was just like, "Oh, cool! That's a cool change." I wasn't like thinking of making the quiz, so it must have been a while back. You know, Monsters original name. That's fantastic! It's really cool that Konami is updating database entries to fit with the most recent erratas, right? Okay, so both of these cards have quick effects. They are both quick effects, once per turn during either player's turn, and quick effect mean the same fucking thing. So why does Abyss Dweller not have a quick effect but Indigo Eclipse does? Oh, well, it's because Abyss Dweller was printed way before Indigo Eclipse. Come on, this just makes sense that it would be using the latest database entry, and the latest database entry probably wasn't up to date for Abyss Dweller yet, right? Wrong, because Abyss Dweller, printed in October 2019 in Duel Devastator, a set that I actually have, says quick effect. And when did Abyss Dweller come out in Duel Links? January 22, a whole year and a half sort of later. Not good at math, I'm really pissed. This should say quick effect. It should just say quick effect. There's a bunch more erratas like this that haven't built. Okay, this one is very recent. So maybe it's like, oh, they just changed it when the errata is very recent. Wrong, because they haven't bothered to fucking change Armory Arm, which in the Duel Links version, in the old version that came out in May 2021, it says, inflict damage to your opponent equal to half the attack of the destroyed monster in the graveyard. In the graveyard, the monster has to stay in the graveyard for the effect to resolve. If you've played a bit of 5Ds, you might know that this is relevant for something called the Armorium / Colossal Fighter OTK, where you repeatedly run Colossal Fighter into an opponent monster equipped with your Armorium, and you burn them to death. But the newest version, and the pre-errata version, which is like they changed it and then they changed it back, doesn't mention anything about the graveyard. So you can just do it again, but in Duel Links you can't. But in the TCG, you could, and you can again. And then there's Hallowed Life Barrier, which probably everybody knows at this point. The version that exists in Duel Links since September 2017 says you don't take damage. It's cool, yo. It's cool, yo. But the real version, and the way it has always worked in Duel Links says also your monsters cannot be destroyed by battle this turn. Why isn't this changing? This has been the way this for 5 years. They just changed it in the TCG. They should change it in Duel Links. What the fuck? This card has been like sort of on the edge of meta relevancy for years. You've seen tons of threads on Reddit being like, oh, why my opinion cheating? This should just change the context. Just change the context. Something that they did change, by the way, is mandatory when effects that cannot miss timing, because you have to activate those, such as the White Stone of Legends, have been changed to if effects. So there's no more confusion about missing the timing, because if just cannot miss the timing, which this was changed, I don't know when, but it's cool. It's a bunch of cards like White Stone of Legend, Zeborg the Thunder Monarch, it's pretty cool. Except that they didn't even do it for every card! Because Cyber Dragon Core, when it's not, it used to be a when effect. Look, when, but now it's an if effect. It's an if. The card text isn't even the same, because now the Cyber Dragon part is mentioned first, like mentioned last. They changed the card like sort of recently. So maybe they should have changed it in Duel Links as well. Why didn't they? It's not the only card, by the way. Galaxy Knight came out in May 2022 in Duel Links, but in September 2018, it already had been changed to an if effect from if summoned this way, from the when effect of when you do, which is not the same thing. It is not the same thing at all. There's a bunch more cards like this. All the Cyber Dark Monster mandatory when effects, Jack Zeroid, Cyber Raider, and you're like, these cards aren't relevant. They haven't been reprinted in years, except for the Cyber Dark ones, for the Cyber Structure deck in the TCG and the OCG. But, these cards, they don't matter. Maybe their database rulings aren't up to snuff. Well, first of all, you're wrong, because these have been reprinted. But second of all, it doesn't matter, because their database entries is not related to their printings. So, what the fuck? And then I fell down an even deeper rabbit hole, because this fucking Boar Soldier, right? Boar Soldier says, this card can only be summoned by a flip summon. If summoned by a normal summon, the card is destroyed. If your opponent has one or more monsters under his or her control, the attack of this card is decreased by 1,000 points. Which means jack shit. Doesn't even fucking acknowledge the existence of special summons, right? What the fuck is this? This cannot be summoned by a flip summon. This is not the same as the actual printing of the card in December 2004, way before Duel Links release, that says if this card is normal summon, destroy this card. If your opponent controls one or more monster, decrease the attack of this card by It's so much simpler. Why is this not the same as this? What the fuck? What the fuck is this? Oh, also I was like trying to find a way to trip the game out by having a normal summon that misses timing. Something that used to be a when effect that has been changed to a if effect, but an optional when effect that has been changed to an optional if effect. I wanted to see how this happens with cards like free range monsters and counter gates. I haven't found any yet, so good job, Konami. You've managed to stumble me, but I'm gonna find it, and when I find it, I'm gonna test it. I'm gonna make a video to whine about it. Also, don't even fucking get me started on former anime exclusive cards that have been printed in the TCG and the OCG and still haven't been changed in the game. Holy shit!